Against this right back, Charlie, definitely.
People deluded, I'm back again.
Come on, Ian, man. Come on.
Because you always use that active red light defending. I think it's like because you always use that active red light defending. I think it's like
People deluded, I'm back again.
Come on, Ian, man. Come on.
Am I live? Of course I'm live. Happy Monday, folks. People deluded, I'm back again. First things first, hope you had a great weekend. Hopefully Monday started off brilliantly, and hopefully not just the start of the week, the end of the week, in relation to health with your loved ones and also yourselves, your goals, your hopes, your dreams, your ambitions, your aspirations. Hopefully, obviously, this week is a memorable one, and it's an abundance of riches for you lot, people. Where Arsenal's concerned, obviously it's the big one on Saturday. Sorry, any Spurs fans that are out here, or not sorry, but I hope we get 3 points. As I said, I hope everyone's doing well and safe, and as usual, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and in some cases, good night. Appreciative to you lot. Any talking points, get them in. Please hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't. We're getting closer to 50,000 people. We're flirting with it. It's right there. It's right there. And it's gonna happen, man. I'm excited still. I can't lie. But I hope everyone's doing well and safe. In the circle, come on, footy chats. CeeLo, Josh. Hey, myself as well. Come on. I'm a bit sad in that regards. I get gas when I comment my own shit. Like, I don't know I've commented it. But yeah, obviously, despite the fact that the window is closed, Arsenal are going to be linked with people. We've got injuries, injuries to deal with, or fitness things. Obviously Partey, Tomiyasu, Kieran Tierney, apparently they're flying back. Obviously Raul Sanllehi is giving an interview about his time at Arsenal and things like that. So yeah, it is what it is. We're going to get into all of that, people. But let's allow people. Good morning, right back at you, man. Good morning, Dog Snatcher. What a name, man. But yeah, big up yourself as well, and John Ant as well. So yeah, I hope you're all doing well and safe. Obviously, England are playing Germany today. I don't know if I should do a watch along or not. I don't know, man. On that topic as well, apparently Alexander Arnold's absent. Apparently Tony's now in the squad, and Southgate is peak, man. Like, you're doing foolishness, Southgate. I can't lie to you. You're doing foolishness. Obviously, if you do a madness in the World Cup, calm, I might not rate you, but end of the day, you got semi-finals of the last World Cup and finals of the Euros. I think you're mismanaging the players. I think you're too conservative for our attacking players. I think I'm not going to criticize the manager for calling people up because they like them and their form. I don't think you should call up everyone based on form or everyone based on reputation, but they're just inconsistencies with that. Man, it's just looking mad, really and truly. So it needs to move, man. The realist is finally in the building. Big up DG with the realist supporters like yourself, man. Saliba's been poor against Denmark. What he does for France, none of my problem. But he's in his early 20s. You're gonna have bad games, innit? I see him up on Meccano. A couple of players got hooked at half time. It's them sort of experiences that keep you on the ground, really, because international football's a different ball game. And he's in his early 20s. Good foundation that he set at Saint Etienne, at Marseille, at Nice. Obviously, last season at Marseille got Champions League. Started off well at Arsenal, but he's in his early 20s. You want to have a good and long career. I remember when Varane was coming into the game, there was a World Cup where they played Germany. He got absolutely bullied by Germany and absolutely bullied by Hummels at set pieces. It's going to happen. You're not going to be the most amazing defender in the world and never get ripped. It is what it is. Keep learning. But if you're going to have poor games, have it for France. And it's these things that keep you on the ground, really and truly. And it's just stuff to work on, really. It's a different ball game, international football. I know the agendas have got to agenda, but yeah, man, I don't really care what half of these players do for on international duty. Big up Gabriel Saliba, still one of the hottest defenders on the scene. Still got a wealth of potential. Let the man develop and we keep moving, really and truly. It is what it is. But I'd rather him for Les Bleus, respectfully to all the French fans out there, I'd rather him stink up the place there then obviously for Arsenal Football Club. And Saliba, if you're going to get the bad cobwebs out, make sure you're shaking them off, because we're going to need you, early kickoff on Saturday. Not just you, but everybody involved, man. Xhaka had Pedri raging. What happened there, man? Oh, I heard Spain lost. I can't lie, man. It's hard for me, especially with a World Cup there. It's hard for me to get behind this international football. I did watch England and Italy. Southgate just pissed me off, man. Like, it's just jarring, man. Like, again, for the very fact that you've got some of the most exciting attacking players just generally developing through football. Look at the guys that are not in the squad. Maddison, Sancho, he didn't really want to fuck with Grealish. You're putting Saka left wing back after substantially right wing back. You're too conservative for these wavy ballers. It's just fullbacks FC, really, and you're calling up meaty duns. But less of that about Southgate, man. Hopefully they beat Germany today, and because it's peak, no winning 5 for England going into an international tournament. You shouldn't necessarily panic, but it's not the best. Big up to Thierry Henry, man. You've been gone for a minute, man. You must have been taking in your other thingies. Xhaka sexuals moving mad on the timeline. Hey, agendas after agenda. Whatever performance Xhaka put in, make sure again, Saturday. Big up you lot representing your countries, but hey, I only care really what you do for Arsenal Football Club. Anything beyond that, your business, really. International football garbage, zero interest, just like many of the players. It's true, and especially with a World Cup there, really. Do you really want to get involved? I would say over the weekend, big up to everyone. Obviously, we watched England. We didn't watch England. We watched Arsenal versus Tottenham's North London derby. Did a watch along for the women's game, and obviously them A-list celebrity YouTubers had their little all-star game. I think them 2 games there were better than a lot of what I've seen in the international break, man. Unless Southgate wins the World Cup, he's gone. I think if he gets to a substantial part of the latter stages, he'll keep his job. But the football, it's meaty, bro. Like, again, you got all these exciting players coming on the scene, and I'm not saying play 11 attackers, it's not possible. But you've got, England have never, well, I'm capping a bit, but England have never been blessed with all this lot of quality, and you can't have a conservative coach like that stifles people, that puts them in different formations, that kills any sort of balance, that hasn't got the balance between playing favourites and playing people with form. It's meaty, man. Chunk scored a banger, Philly scored a banger. Denmark did a proper job on France last night. DG, good for the Danish, man. Heard Ericsson was balling out, but not watched it. So yeah, man, big up you lot tuned in. We'll get into the current affairs and all of that in a second, people. But let's just take time. Let's just take time, man. Let's just relax ourselves in that regards. So yeah, man, keep smashing the like button. 33 likes. We're off to a great start. Can we get to 100 for the end of the stream? Not having Madders in the team is crazy to me. Do you know what? I can understand it to a degree, because you can't bring all the attackers, but is Mount in the squad? Respectfully, if Mount can be in the squad based on what he's done in the Prem for now, I think you could give a chance on Maddison. I don't think he's convinced with Maddison. It takes him a minute. He took a hot minute to call up Jude Bellingham, a hot minute to even bring Grealish into this fold. Have I said Foden already? So again, it's going to take forever with Maddison, really. By the way, can you see Maddison in the Kevin De Bruyne? I mean, Grealish, man said Grealish. Maddison he's a very good player. He can play out wide, clearly at home in the 10, can play in the 8, could do that Kevin De Bruyne stuff. Not to that level, but yeah. Man said win the World Cup. I don't think England getting past last 16 is crazy, man. Thoughts about doing something with Terry of the Terrace? What do you want me to say? I don't know, bro. What do you want me to say? Call up Chucks and Philly for the World Cup for England. Brazy, man. You love some brazy shouts. I hear it, though, man. I hear it. Yes, whatever. England team is good, but not great. That's true, but I don't think anyone expects England to be great, really and truly. At least at this moment. I don't know what it is with England. They'll always have decent players and things and golden generations and all of this nonsense. But yeah, man, would you do an interview with him? Interview about what, though? So, big up Terry and that, but it's got to make sense, really. That interview about what? So yeah, man. It is what it is in that regard. I can't lie, people. I'm keen to see what Raul Sanllehi has actually said in his interview on The Athletic. So that's one thing I'm going to get into once it gets to the minute 11, because that seems to be my timestamp. Raul Sanllehi interview reaction. Any talking points, etc. I feel no sort of way about getting them in, people. Man said bread and baked beans, Mourinho. that Germany quarterfinal got me on board with Southgate, but it's been downhill since then. I mean, the wickedest thing in terms of results with Southgate, again, if you just look at a lazy thing, semi-finals of the World Cup, final of the Euros, if it's a results-driven business, I can have my criticisms, but he's done all right, really and truly. If he collapses now, then I think he needs to keep it moving, really and truly. Large up yourself and large up you lot. I don't know why. Again, the Tomori thing, I don't get it in it. I don't get it purely because I get the experience factor with Maguire, but anytime you're playing a back three, Maguire's going to be in trouble defensively down the sides. You know, Tomori's in better form. He's got a point to prove. He's more athletic. I don't understand it really and truly, but it is what it is. You know, you're gonna have to live or die by it. And whether I rate Southgate or not, I would want to do it my way, because if it collapses and it goes down south, you know, and it goes south, at least I can say I did it my way, really and truly. But yeah, I really want to see what Raul Sanllehi said, people, in relation to Arsenal. Apparently, some people that I've, you know, some of my friends say he sounds a bit bitter. Some say he's a bit honest, but we're going to have to see exactly what's been said here, people. Raul Sanllehi said, I had to, and people I speak to say he's one of the nicest people they've met, really. Raul Sanllehi, I had to lay off 55 people at Arsenal without knowing I was the 56th. They done you dirty. I loved it at Arsenal. You cannot imagine the people in the club, the history of the club, Raul says. I really felt I was at the top of the world there. I love the owners, the Kroenkes, but the last 10 months there were horrible. I had to lay off 55 people without knowing I was the 56th. Sanllehi speaking to The Athletic in his office at his new club, Real Zaragoza of Spain's second division, whom he joined as general director last June. He was hired by an ownership group that includes MLS side Inter Miami president George Mas and director of Atletico Madrid Francis Lenz and Colombian club Millonarios. Big up yourself, G Navas. Again, appreciate you. It's screwed. Also, Tomori should go Nigeria. It's a bit too late for that, isn't it? Hasn't he been capped? It's a bit too late to do up motherland now for him. We will all talk about that soon. But first, Sanllehi wants to make it clear there are no hard feelings about his Arsenal exit, even if it came as a surprise to him at the time. Smash the like button, people. I don't feel betrayed by the Kroenkes. The Kroenkes had the LA Rams, Denver Nuggets, and Colorado Rapids. And all of a sudden, all those teams could not play due to lockdowns, obviously due to COVID. You still had to pay the salaries. You did not have guaranteed broadcasting revenues. They entered into a panic, but a logical panic. As the world entered into a panic without COVID, I'm sure I would still be there, as my relationship with the Kroenkes was great. I wonder what that would have meant for the general structure. It's funny, but I remember in December 2019, I had dinner with the four guys, in brackets, Mikel Arteta, Edu Hosfarmi, who's now left the club, and Mertesacker. They were plotting. On the toast, I said, now it's on us. Now it is exactly the model I asked for. If it doesn't work, we have no excuses. That team for me was a dream team at the time. Then in March, everything just fell apart. It was sad. Nothing lasts forever. Sanllehi says the dream team of Arteta, Edu, contract Don Hosfarmi, and Mertesacker fitted a circular club management model he learned in 2 decades at Barca and is now implementing at Zaragoza. Within the model, there are 4 points: head coach, sporting director, football operations, and academy. And they need to be very well coordinated, which is true. Big up you lot in the cut, people. Big up you lot in the cut. What's good? I'll take Louise in Jan, Prem proven and wants to join us. Can't go wrong, really. Amen. We'll get onto the transfers in just a second. Make sure you're smashing the like button and you're getting your talking points in. But so far, I can't disagree with Raul Sanllehi. I mean, for some people that said he was bitter and things, I can't happy at Arsenal. Based on what we've read so far, hasn't got any bad feelings to do with the football club, like the project we was going into, and more or less like how Edu and Arteta are there. Yes, you can blame the Kroenkes if things go wrong because it's their club, but there's no excuses. You know, again, the last 2 seasons, including this, if we get top 4 or don't, or do what in Europa League or not, it is on the players and specifically the technical director, Edu and Arteta, in my opinion. So he is right. Everybody wants to see any club working in tandem: the head coach, the sporting director, football operations, and obviously the academy. Much like Arsenal, it doesn't matter how old you are. You know, current day Bukayo Saka and Smith Rowe. We've had Tony Adams, RIP Rollcastle. We've had people in it that do this thing from our academy, and you never want to see that stop. So it makes sense. Allegedly, Sanllehi's model was what convinced Ivan Gazidis, then Arsenal's chief executive, to recommend that the Kroenkes hire him to oversee the transition from Wenger's 22 years as our gaffer. Arsenal had decided to move on from Arsene Wenger, one boss who did everything. Amen. Shout out Wenger. Scrolling all the way down, we all know Wenger was announced as leaving. We all know Emre took over. We all know it was a turbulent time. Mislintat was here at a time. Gazidis left. You know, again, for the first people that take over from a sporting director role after, from a sporting direction, sorry, after Arsene Wenger, or anyone who takes in any director role that first sort of year under Wenger, of course it's going to be difficult, and it's not that you're doomed to fail, but it's almost a poison chalice. Obviously, Emre, it didn't work out. Shout out to Emre, but it didn't work out. Don't want to go over that. It was crucial for Arsenal to make the Champions League. We're still waiting on that. We had a good coach in Unai, but losing the final to Chelsea made us stay in Europa, and also failing over a 38-game calendar, which made the second year hell for Unai. It had been the one boss model. All respect for Arsenal. What he did for Arsenal is unique, and probably at that moment in time, the best way to do it. But you had to develop, and that is what happened. The key to Raul Sanllehi's model was to have a sporting director or technical director. When he was at Barca, he worked closely with, I can't say that name, but we all know what he's done, who is now obviously at Manchester City. So former Arsenal midfielder Edu was tempted away from a role at the Brazilian FA to take the position back in North London in 2019. The sporting director setup was very new in England. I had to explain that his highest priority is the first team, but he also needs to be in contact with the academy to know the transfer market. When things don't go well, you change the head coach, but the technical director is the one who protects the club, the sporting philosophy of the club, and model and safeguards the model. Obviously, after Emre was sacked that November, Arsenal finished the Premier League in 8th position under new head coach Mikel Arteta. Sanllehi still believed the structure put in place with him at the centre was moving towards success. Obviously, Vinay as well. I'm in the middle, like the director of an orchestra. Here are the drums, the cymbals, the violins, and the trumpets. They are very good, but if you do not coordinate them, then they may sound awful. At Arsenal, I'm reading ahead. At Arsenal, as head of football, I put Huss, Farmi, Edu, Mikel Arteta, and pair the perfect cross. He then says the English idea of the manager being in charge of all football affairs at the club, the way Wenger had been at Arsenal or Ferguson at United, does not work in the modern day. It can, but it doesn't, because anytime that manager leaves, it's an issue. Like Pep Guardiola, one good reason I'm not saying City will have a next Pep Guardiola, but everything is in place for that next manager sort of thing, and so on and so forth. That's why Arsenal have been in trouble. That's why Ferguson and, post-Ferguson United were in trouble. That may happen to Liverpool if they keep just thinking Klopp can do everything by himself. I do not agree when clubs call the first team coach the manager. First team coach is the first team coach. That's enough. Nowadays, the workload is overwhelming. I need him to concentrate on the first team. Anything that distracts you from that is not your responsibility. Travel arrangements, the pitch, salary budget, medical department, we get up to focus on the 25-man squad or the 11 starting players. The first team coach is short-term orientated, just win tonight's game, which is true. But I mean, if Arteta is the manager, that tells you that they want him long-term, Emre was significantly more experienced and has a better CV at this moment in time than Arteta was head coach. So that tells you the club is betting on Arteta. So with great power comes great responsibility. Anyways, away from that, when Sanllehi was fired in August of 2020, Arsenal's owner streamlined the model. Edu and Arteta's responsibilities expanded into areas he had been in charge of. Arteta's job title, as I just said, was changed from first team coach to first team manager. Sanllehi believes this was a mistake and that once circular model is now squashed out of shape. They have betrayed the model a little bit now by going back to the manager at the top. That is a mistake, but that is their mistake. I would not have allowed that to happen, but that's fine. It is working for them so far. That's enough of Arsenal. Let's get back to Zaragoza. It does seem a bit sour with that. So yeah, I mean, this is just talking about what he's doing at this moment in time. Realistically, I don't really care about that. Are we gonna get back into Arsenal? Anyways, once you find a project like Zaragoza, it is much easier to get people to join the project. The group of investors gave us a lot of synergies to work with different clubs in different leagues, different continents, different cultures, which is great. They were ready to provide resources. When I had the first meeting with the investors, I realized this is what I wanted to do. That's great. Big up to you for finding a role and for the time that you spent at Arsenal. Zaragoza, they're not quite as good as, obviously I'm only 27, but not as good as in my earlier life as they are currently now. Well, they were better then. So yeah, it is what it is. The new owner's first big call was to replace veteran coach Joan Ignacio Martinez with obviously Caicedo, who had been Emre's assistant at Arsenal. He then says, And he is a maniac for developing talent. Even after leaving Arsenal, Smith Rowe, Joe Willock, Martinelli, Saka still kept writing to him many times. Have you seen my game? What should I do? How can I improve? He would stay after training sessions and train with them private lessons to get them where they wanted to be. And for us, that fitted with our idea to bring up the academy. And that's great because all of these players have kicked on. You know, out of that list, you've got 3 international players. You know, I know Martinelli never got called up to the Brazil squad recently, like Smith Rowe. You know, but him, Saka, you know, Smith Rowe, better yet, Saka, Martinelli have kicked on. Joe Willock bet on, you know, the club bet on Joe Willock. That's why, if you remember at the time, there was a summer where I think Dragomir went, Josh De Silva went, Brentford. There was a bag of midfielders going because, and I'm telling you this as a fact, the club bet on Joe Willock, said, you're the one we're going to kick on into the first team. Rightly or wrongly, he got into the first team. He was sold for 30 million quid. So, yeah, man. It is what it is, but that's good. That's an interesting one, and it's testament to these young players. They're hungry, you know. You've got to be in charge of your own career. You look at Mikel Arteta; he has to be in charge of the group. Obviously, he'll work with you on an individual basis, but again, there's only so many hours in a day. There's only, beyond the obvious things every human has to do, there's only so many hours in a week. Now, I always say this to you, like, if I'm Mikel Arteta and I say, Saka, come and spend an hour with me, let's work on finishing. That might take an hour away from maybe working on positioning with Lokonga or whatever. Of course, you can bring other coaches into it, but again, that's taking away time. So the manager's first job is the collective. Then if he can do that, but the players have to take it on themselves, because for me, if I'm any of these players, if I don't get to where I want to, I can't rely on other people, sort of thing. So yeah, man, that's a good little segment, I feel. Another priority was renewing contracts of the team's promising homegrown players. I mean, Sanya, if you really like Arsenal, yeah, tell us about these new Spanish youths that are coming through, really and truly. And it is what it is. But yeah, I think this has digressed a lot from actually Arsenal people. Oh, right, this guy was at Atletico. You didn't quite hit the heights, did you? So yeah, it's probably gone on the way. You know, the Athletic kind of tricked us really and truly here. You know, I don't really care about any of this, but yeah. He then went on to say, it's very ironic. That goal is incredible. You could not have a movie script with that ending. I would love Zaragoza to play Arsenal again, as that would mean we have made it back. That would be a dream. Actually, I still have all the love for Arsenal. I am just very sad it had to finish. But this project for me right now is very fulfilling, and I'm loving every minute. So shout out to Sanllehi. I mean, it's not quite the article I thought we was gonna read. It's not quite the tell-all and all these sort of things, but it is what it is in that regards, man. What are you lot saying? No cap, the manager running the club don't work anymore, because once the owners sack him, his philosophy goes with him. And that's my issue, you know, and it shouldn't be that, you know. Obviously, if Pep Guardiola leaves City tomorrow, I can't tell you who's going to be the manager. There's not going to be a like for like, but you know what City are trying to do. They're trying to keep dominating the Prem. They're trying to win. They're trying to obviously, you know, do what they did in the Champions League. They're trying to develop players that can be sold on for profit or reach their first team, you know. So it should always be there. It should be freedom within a framework. The club should always have a philosophy. I know Barcelona have got Xavi, but in the last few years, they kind of went away from it. But you knew whoever was going to be the Barcelona manager, whether that was Pep Guardiola, Tato Martino, what's the other guy as well? Villanova, RIP. People, Enrique, people are going to do things differently. And some had more success, but you know there was a certain philosophy, and that's what Arsenal should be. Because as much as I'm with Mikel Arteta and I like what he's doing and things, if he leaves tomorrow, it's not like Sir Alex Ferguson or Wenger, you know. But Arteta's done a lot in the game, but he's done nothing in the game. You should be able to get someone that obviously puts their own sparkle on it and their own thingy on it, but should have the principles. Arsenal Football Club, we always bring through young players, or aspire to. We always, as mainly with Wenger, you know, we want to play sexy football and aspire to do that. We're a club that's always 2-3 games away from a crisis. So winning is, you know, winning isn't everything. It's the fucking only thing, as it should be, regardless of what Arsenal is saying, you know. We should want to aspire to be back to where we want to be, really, you know. And that's the issue. If the club doesn't move forward, if Mikel Arteta leaves, we're in trouble. Because let's be honest, as much as I like Arteta, we're doing him a favor more than he's doing us a favor, really, because he got a top job with no real CV. So again, if we're over relying on Edu and Mikel Arteta, if they want to leave and things, I don't know. You know, I'm sure Arteta loves what he's doing here. There's certain luxuries he might not be afforded elsewhere. He's deserved to get his opportunity, but let's not be naive. The man's in his early 40s. He's not going to be at Arsenal forever. So if we're not able to move forward, it's an issue. It's, you know, Chelsea will have a bag of different managers and a different owner now, but you know, if you don't win things, your time might be done there. So it is what it is. We got hoodwinked, 100%. That hoodwinked us, man. That was one lazy article. I think we're in great hands long term. I do as well. But you know, we need to keep moving. What exactly is the Nations League? You're gonna have to Google that, my bro. So much cap. Watch us get no one in January. This club is a disgrace. I 100% believe the club tells journalists to put these false rumors out. Bit more optimism, can, but maybe, just maybe onto something, though, man. I feel like we should have given Emre one more season. It was a bit unfair. I don't, because the football was stale. You lost the players. Anytime you lose the player, you know, the players were taking the piss out of him. You're in trouble, really, you know. I only gave up on Emre that last week, as you lot already know. But yeah, man, I don't think so. The football was stale. Guys were doing Bandulu stuff. It was, yeah, I didn't want to see it, man. I didn't want to see it. I can't lie to you. Yes, Luiz strengthens the squad 100%. Shout out the Twitch ones as well. If I'm Arsenal, I want 2 midfielders. If we want to challenge for a league, a 36 who can play by himself and matters for me in the left half space that Xhaka is in. Watched the Scotland game on Saturday. Tierney came off under the advice by the doctors. He's withdrawn from the squad. I wonder if protocol means he can't play against Spurs on Saturday. We'll see. If I'm Arsenal, I hope they lie about it. FIFA 23 is available today. Are you playing, DJ? I'll probably get it, but I didn't even know, man. I'm so out the loop. Is that the real game or is that some beta to shout out the Twitch ones as well? Appreciative. Don't forget 4:30 we're playing FM, people, on Twitch. Emre, nah, do you know what? I don't blame the final on Emre. I blame that on the players, you know. I think Emre bottled the league, the players bottled the final because that was disgraceful. You can't perform like that. You can't move like that. Chelsea battered us. Only Iwobi's goal made it decent, but it is what it is. And that's why, for me, I'm not comfortable saying let's just target Europa League or top 4 because we've shown in the league historically last season and that Emre season where we finished by a point, we weren't starting games. We were showing it, you know, we weren't doing what you need to do. And in the Europa League, yeah, we can get through the group. But like you've seen in the final against Chelsea, you know, latter stages against Villarreal, 2 legs against Olympiacos, Atletico Madrid with Koscielny, when we show naiveties. Of course, there might be a part in this season where we may have to lean towards one or the other. But yeah, man, it is what it is. I blame Emre for the league because there was too many stupid draws and things like that. The final was disgraceful, bro. Forget Emre for a sec, bro. You're some of you may not play in the European final again. You're in the business to win, you know. You're in the business to put in a performance. We might as well still played well and still got battered against Chelsea, but you need to leave a final with no regrets. You know, no regrets, and that's we couldn't say that. We lost to the better team, but we didn't push them all the way, and that's the minimum I asked for in a final. Full game is out at midnight if you pre-ordered. If you didn't pre-order, it drops to 30th. It's not that deep. I'll wait to the 30th then. Did Xhaka play well against Spain? Allegedly, I didn't watch it, so I can't tell you, man. I just hope players... I'm not really interested in what these guys are doing on international duty as long as they just come back in one piece. Big up yourself, Manny. No, Emre bottled Champions League football twice. He should have left after Baku. I would take Luiz over Danilo because he's Premier League proven, is competitive in midfield, but does have the bozo. To be fair, I'd take both, man. DG, hear that Southgate dropped Trent for the next game. He ain't going to make it. Boy, apparently he's not in the squad, but he still has an option of making the World Cup. I want Europa League trophy and top 4. That will prove to me winning mentality and be able to take the pressure of big games as well as showing able to consistently compete amongst the big boys. I hear that 2-2 versus Palace is where Emre lost me. Mustafi needs to pay for all his sins. I swear that was the game at the Emirates. Mavropanos played as well, but there was too much foolish draws. Even though Arteta is my guy, last season there was foolishness. Yeah, you can look at it and say, oh, we missed out on top 4 by 2 points. But that shouldn't give you any luxuries. That should tell you that, for me, that should pee you off a bit more beyond the obvious because we live in a game of fine margins. Whether it's because we had a strike, didn't have a striker and other people did, whether we had a midfielder, whatever, whether it was experience, whether it was the Conte factor over Arteta, you know, both teams were stinky last season and managed to get 4th. We need to them fine margins. There was too many games last season. We didn't start well. We didn't react after losing 1 week, which so far we're showing in the right regards. But yeah, man, you know, if we just turn up for the Brighton away game, held on to points from a winning position at Palace at home, let alone the performance away from home where we was never in it, where we'd be in the top 4. And that's why I'm so big on when you can put forms together and stuff, you're going to lose games, but keep trying to win because even this season, again, there's a lot of football to be played. Hopefully we win on Saturday and next week against Liverpool, but there's a certain flaw in, yeah, we lost against United and you would have liked to have seen better, but other than that, you've taken maximum points, really. You know, Emre season, I was at the Emirates quite frequently. You can't be doing Buki back threes. There was one game, I can't remember who it was against. It might have been Palace, Ozu and Mkhitaryan on the wings. It's not going to work. None of them are wingers. They want to go inside and in searching for the football. So Emery did some Buki things as well, man. Really Buki things. The squad selection was just meaty. I remember Emery rested bare man for that Palace game again. The only thing I'll give Emery is he wanted Partey then. He wanted Nkunku. He wanted Zaha in it. I'll give him that, man. DJ at the time, would you have preferred Adeyemi over Jesus? No, because Jesus is more ready right now. But Adeyemi needs to find his way to the Emirates. Sure, we lost to Brighton the week before. Bro, there was a terrible period, I swear. There was a period, I'm sure, we drew against Southampton or lost. We got bopped by Palace. To be fair, Palace have claimed a lot of L's on us still at home and away. Please smash the like button, people. 68 likes off to a good start, but we could be doing much better. You also wanted Maguire. Yeah, well, people get things wrong. Praise the Lord that one didn't bang in it, really and truly. And that, or the wickedest thing is, you don't know. Maybe if Maguire went elsewhere or joined Man United at a better time, he might be a bit better than this. You never know. He wanted Fabinho as well. These guys could have banged, and Zonzi probably wouldn't have banged, but it could have banged. All managers do Buki things, but with Emery, it didn't work out. Yeah, and anytime you lose the dressing room and you hear they're taking the piss out of you, pardon my language, you're already walking a tightrope. You need to bust out. Playing Kolasinac in the back three as well, it was crazy. It was not good. How did Mustafi win a World Cup? Royce got injured, he got called up, and the rest is history. I wouldn't pay much attention to individual performances in these internationals. Players are looking after themselves. Well, you have to look at Araujo of Uruguay. Apparently, he's got injury. If he has surgery, he might not go World Cup. You know, so of course you're going to. Really, good point. Emery was 30 from the outside looking in. Players were clowns. Nah, he was a good manager, but he done too much madness. You know, I do think at times he overcomplicated things, especially in the smaller games. I think he was too conservative. So I wouldn't quite say he was 30. Obviously, I rate him for taking the job post Arsene Wenger. Anyone who took that it's a bit like Moyes after Sir Alex Ferguson. Anyone who took that, you know, obviously guys could have done better. He might have been able to be helped out a bit better, but you was doomed to fail. You was doomed to fail because, you know, initially now, you know, obviously, man still mentioned Wenger and stuff, but he's removed everything you do. If Wenger done things, if Wenger walks to the left and Emery walks to the right, well, Wenger didn't do that. He's always going to be judged under that lens. And also probably what shagged Emery is the turbulence. You know, one thing Arteta's got, obviously Arteta's had to deal with nonsense at Arsenal. We've had to rip up contracts. There's been COVID. There's been wage cuts. There's, you know, been protests. There's been a bag of things. But, you know, he's got stability. You've got your homie Edu there now. You're messing with the Cronkays. Couple of other people have left. You know, when Emery was there, you had Mislintat, Raul. You know, you had turbulent times off the field as we look to move away, like kind of what United need to do or needed to do. We're trying to move away from this one club man sort of thing. So I do rate Emery for taking it. I do rate the fact that he tried to learn the language. I do think he was a good coach. And as I said, I only gave up on Emery towards the end because you could feel it at the Emirates. You could, like, it was done now, innit? Like, and I didn't like, he done too much crazy things, and I don't think his football is ever nice. I don't think it would have lasted because it was horrible, man. It was too horrible, man. You know. And one thing, if I was Emery, like, I would feel a bit dirty in that I never got some of the luxuries that Arteta got in it. Because I do think Emery, obviously, you've got a better CV and a bigger standard in the game when you came into Arsenal. I think you was judged a lot more harsher. I do think Arteta's done a lot, but I do think at other clubs there's been periods he might have been sacked, or there might be more sort of periods. But you know, I liked Emery. It just was dead, man. You know, really and truly. A reply to Sila, how's that an argument? It's Arteta's first job. This team is already better than any Emery team. I'm not too sure about that because, you know, we've seen Emery win European trophies a number of times. Does it probably play sexier football? Of course, but sexy football, take it as a fellow Arsenal fan with Wenger, it doesn't necessarily guarantee trophies, really and truly. So I think that's it's unnecessary pressure on Arteta, and, you know, it's a bit disrespectful to Emery. If we're comparing both of them, we need to take our feelings for both managers, away from it and judge fairly. You know, Emery has a better CV than Arteta right now. Arteta, he's got potential. Emery's been there, done it, sort of thing. Arteta's got the potential to be this good manager, and he's moving in the right direction. Whatever you say about Emery, he's been there, done it, wore the t-shirt. You know, if football ends tomorrow, who's done more? You know, fair enough. Arteta's won the English Super Cup, Community Shield, and an FA Cup. Emery's won multiple European trophies. You know, latest against United, fully underdog thing with Francis Coquelin, his ex brethren. So, you know, I fuck with Arteta more than Emery because it's more what I want to see and all of these sort of things. But yeah, man, gotta be a bit fair, man. I just think Emery's problem is he's an underdog sort of coach. You know, he's like I don't think at Arsenal you was built to. Historically, Arsenal got to be the protagonist, take the game to the opposition. I think there was too many times we weren't doing that. We're overcomplicating. I did like the fact that it was almost a bit too extreme. Sometimes he would take the handbrake completely off. Sometimes he was a bit overcautious. I don't think he found the balance. I think he overcomplicated stuff. I think he overloaded the players with too much information. I do think, you know, to be fair to him, he did get a partnership out of Lacazette and Aubameyang for a sec, but I think these obviously played a part in leading to his demise, man. He was a bit too pragmatic, especially against the smaller teams. You're going to be in trouble. You know, the Premier League, even when you see City and Liverpool, even some of these games they might win or might lose. You know, long gone are the days in the Premier League where a smaller team just sits back for 90 minutes. It does happen, of course, but just sits back for 90 minutes, hoofs the ball long, and they nick it. More time when you see City or Liverpool or anyone under trouble, it's because the smaller teams have said, you know what, forget what you lot got. Football's one on the pitch. Let's try and move to you lot, innit? And that's how it goes, really and truly. So, yeah, man, I don't know what's going on in that regards, really. So, yeah, that's what I would say. Great talking points. Yeah, and the thing is, yeah, that's the one thing I'll give Emery. I've said that before. He came true with this playing out from the back thing. And obviously, he was doing it with meaty guys, with Leno and soccer artists and all these guys. But yeah, I say the evidence is just about there to say Arteta is a good manager. He's a good manager, but you ain't done nothing in the game, like really, you know. And as much as I like Arteta, and I'm more Arteta in than out at this moment in time, you know, the job was, you know, at least with Emery, you could say, all right, cool, he's kind of helping us a bit. We need a new guy. Fair enough, you might not be the Don to take over, but you've got a decent CV. Arteta, what? Because you done little coaching with Sane and that. This isn't me trying to get at him, but because you done one-to-one coaching. Is that, you know, the Arsenal job was doing you a favor. We are doing you a favor. Right now, you know, long-term we're moving, but we're doing you a favor giving you this job. You weren't qualified. Much like, you know, it was the potential of what you could be. You are a good manager, but if football ends tomorrow, what have you done? You know, what is your legacy at Arsenal? He's won an FA Cup. He's won a Community Shield. I would say that for Arteta. The biggest thing I've liked is that we're more healthier as a club with the fans and the owner. And then again, these things are volatile. But I just think we're more on the same page. The atmosphere is there, but we've got to move, innit? You know, I'm a fan of what Arteta is doing, but I'm an Arsenal fan. I'm not going to support anybody at this football club beyond more than I feel about it. I was here before you lot. I'm going to be here after you lot. I do think with football at all clubs, too much people are loyal to ideologies and agendas. If the evidence is there to support your thing, man, I support your thing. If you're looking booky, then the writing's on the wall again. Torreira as a 10. We started smoking the finest towards the end. It was brazy. In January, we need Douglas Luiz, Gakpo, and a new striker, and send Eddie on loan. I think we're playing FIFA there. What does Darwin Núñez offer? Oh my God, I wish we still got Maddison Jesus with bang goals like Haaland. I appreciate Odegaard though. Maddison would have been lit, man, but it's probably unrealistic, especially for what they're going to want for him. But saying that, probably never been a better time to go for Maddison. Isn't he contracted until 2024? Bit like Milinkovic-Savic. Leicester have a question to ask themselves the next summer. End of the Emery era was depressing. I remember Laka scored a late equalizer and nobody celebrated. I'm sure I was at the game. Who was that against? It was either Palace or Southampton. They got Emery to qualify for Europe after Wenger, but Arsenal should be, and now we are aiming higher. I mean, we need to just get consistencies across all aspects. I mean, we all know Valverde was all but an Arsenal player. Things changed it. You can still see the pictures to this day, him training at London Coley. Some people say we differed and Real Madrid came in and the history is done. Some say work permit issues. But yeah, man, we've seen many a player. That happened with many a player. Kingsley Coleman in 2012 as well. And there's a long list of not just us. I know it's always publicized with Arsenal, but a lot of clubs. I don't know if Maddison's injury prone. People love extreme. And this is the thing with Arsenal. People love extremes, bro. Like, you know, he's either the best thing since sliced bread or he's terrible. For me, when you do things that, you know, need it, when you do things that need questions, fair enough. When you do good things, you deserve what you need. Arteta needs to be consistent at the highest level and win some big trophies. Until then, questions are going to be asked. Going to look like the next Poch. He won the FA Cup with Emirates players, so fair play to Arteta. And that was a good marker. Shout out to him for that. Arteta won't be judged on this season. It's the next level. If he's back to actually go for the league is when we actually find out. I think we need to consistently get top 4 first. And I can't say Mikel Arteta hasn't been backed. You know, you can't say Arteta hasn't been backed. Has he been backed enough? You could potentially say yes or no, but he has been backed. Anytime it's you know, when Emre was beefing the players like Ozil and that, he lost them battles. But Arteta said no Ozil, no Ozil. Aubameyang said, he said no Aubameyang, no Aubameyang. Bearing in mind, he gave the contract to Aubameyang. I want to get rid of Willian after getting him a contract. You know, you've been backed in the last markets with substantial figures. You know, maybe it's enough. You know, do I think I can't blame you. If Kroenkes have given you money and you've not got a centre mid or whatever in, I think that's on you. I think including this season and last, I can't blame the Kroenkes directly for us not getting top 4 or whatever. The money's been there. You've been backed. You are the manager. You know, you're arguably the most important cog in the team. I think if it ever got to that, Edu would lose his job before Arteta. I like what Arteta is doing. I want him to keep going on, but with great power comes great responsibility. We can't act like there's all woe is me. And I do think there's a lot of extremes. I do think when it's Arsenal fans specifically, when it's time to give his flowers, some don't want to give his flowers or they overdo it. When it's negativity, I think there's either cutting excuses and not looking at the manager or just blaming the manager for everything. And it's not how life should be done, really and truly, you know. It's really not. He's been allowed. Guendouzi as well. It is what it is. I do like Arteta. I like the way he speaks. I like his tactics. I like what his coaching staff are doing. I like where the team is going, and I hope it keeps going. But fundamentally, we haven't achieved anything yet. Football ends tomorrow. What we achieve? Yeah, a couple man have won FA Cups. But yeah, in terms of self-financing, Ainsley Maitland-Niles holding bench. You could have got 20 or so for him. So, yeah, he has been backed. I can't sit here and say anything is on anybody else apart from Edu and Mikel Arteta. Any issues we have with squad depth or the players' ability, here we're at. You know, it's down to their planning. Last January, I can't blame the Kroenkes. That's down to you lot. This summer, if we're short or got enough, it's down to you lot. Last summer, you know, you was backed. Big up Ben White. But if we look at it, 50 million on Ben White off the back of one Premier League season. These are the sort of things he's being allowed to do, really. Cedric Pablo Marie brought them in, stunk up the place. Stopgap signings didn't work. I'm not trying to catch people out. I'm just saying, look at the things that are happening. I have to judge you fairly. You know, I like what you're doing. Saka's playing wavy, Martin. All the young bulls are developing. You're doing good things. But, you know, you got to take the rough with the smooth. Arsenal are going to keep getting linked with Dons, man. Arteta has got a lot of PR, I'm not going to lie. Top 4 last season was yours to lose. Yet he's talking about the pros. Everyone's got to hold an L, you know. It doesn't matter. You know, everything is reflected on the club. Whether it was game management, whether it was controlling our bottle, whether it was reacting to defeats, whether it was holding on to leads from winning positions, whether it was youthful naivety, whatever it was, learn from all of that. That's why we never got top. A bit like Emre's season, a bit like every season, as I keep saying when it comes to top 4. You have to try really hard not to get top 4. We see this movie every week, every year. It's the battle of the inconsistent. Man fight for 3rd and 4th because they're not consistent enough to get 2nd and 1st. I know much like last season, people are talking like Arsenal was a shoe-in for 3rd and that time 2nd, and people are talking about league challenges and things. Just keep working, man. Ozil tweeting, trust the process. It was crazy. And that's the biggest thing I'll give Mikel Arteta. There's always going to be drama and stuff, but we're not that running so proper anymore. Like, it was like Bad Girls Club or something. Someone's always beefing the gaffer. Someone wants to leave. Someone's not happy. You know, there was always a little drama. Obviously, Aubameyang was the last one. We had Aubameyang with Guendouzi. We had Ozil. We had this guy, that guy. Gaffer leaving. This happening. Fans versus Xhaka. It was, yeah, man. That's why I said, for me, the atmosphere improving is the best thing. Because if we're never going to agree. And as I said, results are going to dictate the sentiment. Even sometimes Arsenal have lost. Fans are keeping faith, and that rightly so. But that's because you're finally giving people something to believe in and players to identify in. And for me, I'm not going to lie, at times Arteta would say things, and fair enough, Gaffer, but it weren't always correlating. Now you're saying things and I'm seeing it match, sort of thing, to a degree. Mourinho wasn't loved because of his football style. He's won multiple trophies and has charisma. Arteta has coached the very best at City. If ish goes wrong, it will be down to the mentality of these players. That's that's nonsense. You know, that's just, I hear you, but that's nonsense. It won't just be down to that. That's almost absolving Mikel Arteta of any potential blame. You know, he can give you the water, he can't help you drink. And I agree, there's times we've gone out there, but you look at the Man United game, the players have to hold accountability, as does the gaffer. You're the one leading them out there. It doesn't matter that he's coached the best of the best, and he wasn't the manager at City. He was given direct roles under the guidance of Pep Guardiola. You can coach the best of the best. What does that mean? In fact, that should invite even more pressure indirectly on him. That don't mean nothing. What does that mean? It shows that you can develop players, and it's showing it, but you've got to take the rough with the smooth. We win, we lose, and we draw together. There's no, we won, but you lot played bad, or we lost, but it's all on your fault. No, we're in this thing together. I don't know about none of that. It won't just be on the players and their mentalities. Can I just blame and if you're doing this youngster thing, put them around players where they're able to do it. It's on all of us. It's a results-driven business. And like manager, it's unfair as a manager, but like life is, if we win, the manager's probably the last to get the praise at times. If we lose, it's all on the gaffer. So I don't know about none of that. It's on everybody. The manager's the one assembling this team. It's his team. So again, indirectly, we win, we lose together. That goes for the players, for the gaffer, for the coaching staff, for the owner. I don't know about that. And ironically, if you're coaching the best of the best, you're not getting that at Arsenal. We're not bringing in the best of the best. We ain't got no Haaland, no Bernardo Silva, no disrespect to our players. We hope some of them can never be mentioned in the same realm, but you're not getting that at Arsenal. We're not buying Grealish for 100 million, 85 for Haaland. Well, fair enough, 72 for Pepe. That was before. So that don't really help much. It don't really help much. Everybody crumbled. The gaffer crumbled. The players crumbled. The manager set them up to fail as well. You pick the squad depth. Most crucial period of the season, we're going into a back four with Rob Holding and Cedric up against Son. You can go back and watch my watch along. Before Spurs even put the first goal in, I said we're in trouble. You have a lack of squad. You're going into games with certain players that are not built for this, like at Newcastle. You set them up again. You brought Tavares into this club and actually had the fact, had a scenario where you had to rely on Tavares. Xhaka, I don't know why everyone's shocked that he's playing this further role, because you go back to Crystal Palace last year. I'm not trying to catch people out. I just call it as I see it. You set Tavares was poor off his own back, but you set him up to fail. Xhaka's not next to him, and lo and behold, on top of the players having poor mentality at the time, we got savaged. Mikel Arteta and Edu, whether it was COVID or whatever, the start of the season, that has to be on them. We started the season disastrous. This year, we started it a lot better, and we're running off to the sunset. Everybody is in this together. That just what you're saying, Rico, just thinking of agendas, really. And this is what I'm talking about. You can't be a Arteta sexual, and you can't be a scapegoat. Why can't we just sit in a scenario where we call it as we see it? Arteta's doing good things, and then he's doing bad things. If Saka goes and scores 2 goals against Spurs, man, I'm going to say he played well. If he misses 2 tap-ins, like we've seen with a lot of players, going to question him. What are we talking about? Yeah, Ozil has to hold it out. Ozil just turned into a Badina, man. Ozil just turned into a Badina towards the end of his Arsenal career, man. It didn't bang. Ozil, you're still my guy, but less chattings now, man. E-gamers and that, man. Great talking points, though, man. Let me scroll all the way up, man. He's a Europa League manager at best, in my opinion. Arteta is showing his different level. I mean, when the season closes, if we're in top 4 and there's long-lasting change, then fair enough. I like the way Arteta is going, but you need to actually do it, not talk of actually done it. And I think for managers, for players, it's all about what they actually can do in the future, never what they've actually done. So, keep doing what you're doing, keep moving on the right road, but reach the destination and we're good. It does feel like some sections of our fan base want to just, defend it Arteta to the point where you're not even asking healthy questions, so that if it does work, which we hope, I told you so, the man can do nothing wrong, which is unhealthy. And there's some people that have never liked the guy from the jump, so he can do no right. Both are smoking the special stuff. So yeah, moving away from that, don't forget, if you're on Twitch, to subscribe with Amazon Prime for free. Arsenal, I don't know, man. Listen, I don't care about what the bookies are saying. There's a lot of football to be played. We're not even to the turn of the year. Boy, we've been here before. Just keep working hard and see where you end up. Arteta could convince me to go on a glide. Arteta is very convincing, and it's easy to see why. I like the fact that he's very methodical. He wants to improve. I like the fact that he's a very people person. He knows when to shout. He knows when not to. Obviously, the light bulb thing, it looked a bit mad, but I like that innovativity. I said the biggest thing Arteta has done for me at this point is actually off the field. I like the fact that there's more spirit, there's more siege mentality. It's just healthier as a football club. But despite all of that, I'm an Arsenal fan. I'm not an Arteta fan. So let's keep moving, really. At best, you take us to the Holy Grail. We get better and better. pessimist in me might say, you know what? Are you and Edu getting us to a scenario of what we demanded from Uno Emre and Demler at the time, and that we've got a healthy bunch of players now? We're trying our best to eradicate the errors and promote good habits. Do we get someone else that takes it? Because if I'm harsh on Arteta, I think if you swapped Arteta and put him at Spurs, and you swapped Conte and put him at Arsenal in that period where top four was just down to us, I think Conte gets Arsenal top four. I'm not saying I want Conte or all of that stuff. I think he gets it. I don't think Arteta gets it with that Spurs team. That's just me personally, and I've said that before. So there's always, there's always things we could do better, man. Reminder, Klopp got four full seasons when 6, 8, 8 full what? 6, 8, 4, 4, then second in the 5th year. The way you've written that sounds mad. DG, I never knew football wasn't about trophies as well as style. Guess we're Spurs on the pot. Bit harsh, man. Manager has to take them. Listen, at some point, like Top Blue saying, some men are unserious with their comments. You just have to air it, man. Appreciate that. Everyone has to be held accountable, blood. I'm an outsider United fan, so none of my opinions are biased, but we all have different takes, but it's all good. To be honest, Director, I think you're trying shit then. Really, it's just sounding like you're cutting a bunch of excuses respectfully. And yeah, if you're not a Arsenal fan, then that's the end of my debate with you. But big up yourself. Big up, DG. I love your real no-nonsense talk as always. Win, lose. We're in this together, bro. It's on the players' mentality. Like Arteta has achieved anything bigger than no, it is on it's everybody. There's been times I can tell. And I've said it before. There's been times Arteta, in my opinion, he's told you everything, and you lot have gone out there and done dumb things. At times, I think sometimes it's more the gaffer, but fundamentally, it's the end of everyone. Arteta is still a young manager. Our players are young players, and I don't like to say that they're going to do stupid shit. The manager's going to do stupid shit. Last season, I do like the fact that against Brighton, you tried a thing. You tried Lokonga as a lone 6, Odegaard and Smith Rowe as rotating 8s. I liked it. I think long term that if Lokonga can pattern himself, if Odegaard and Smith Rowe can pattern, we might have been in a scenario where we can run that. But that's not going to run against, at the time, Potter's Brighton. That's not going to run against a team that experienced and that sensible and what Potter was doing. And if you remember, that was the week after we lost to Palace or something. So that has to be on the gaffer as well. But Arteta must be doing something right if fans are, that don't even support the club are overdoing it. People need to calm down. If we lose the next 2, we're suddenly a bad team. We aren't scratching the surface of being title challenging team at this point. I hear that. Europa League in 6th, top 4. I mean, off the basis of you get a trophy, I hear it, but I don't want to see that. Anything less than top 4, I can't lie. I have to ask questions because that shows me for a number of years now, over the 38-game duration, there's issues. Obviously, if we can sneak in via the Europa League, it's kind of happy days, but there's still question marks. Let's be real. Even if Arsenal got 4th last year, the same question marks that I kind of hear would have been there now. Same way with Tottenham. Just because you got 4th last year, don't mean everything's all glossy. I know the majority of football fans only want to look at things under the microscope when results haven't gone their way. Look at the game against United. Obviously, the gaffer is damned if you do, damned if you don't. He changes things. Why did you change things? You keep things the same. Why did you keep things the same? But it's not always when things are collapsed that you have to change things. Not that I know anything, because it's easy for me to sit here and talk. But I told you for a fact, if we rock up with the same things that we was doing up until that United game, we're going to be in trouble, which we was. No disrespect to anyone, but the gaps between our defense was too big. The midfield, there was too much gaps. Zinchenko, certain games, that's going to fly. It's not going to fly because he hasn't got a defensive bone like that in his body. And you saw it forget when Anthony actually scored. Do you get it? It's a bit like when I said the Crystal Palace game away last year. The Xhaka role was kind of banging at that time. Tavares was there. It's not always when things are collapsed. You have to know when to change things. Do you think we failed top 4 because Arteta had a horrible start to the season? Last year, that's a part. The start and the end was terrible, and there was many games where we dropped points from winning positions. We didn't turn up for Brighton away. We dropped winning points, Crystal Palace at home. We didn't turn up for Crystal Palace away. Don't know what happened at Southampton or Brighton at home. Didn't turn up for the North London derby. Didn't react to Newcastle, and I'm sure we drew against like Southampton or something. You're going to drop points. You're not going to win everything. But if you just got 3 points off one of these games, you might have scumbagged it. But it wasn't that. Shout out to South Africans, man. It's always felt like a cult base than a fan base. Like, man can't be criticized, but Arteta's here now. We got to run with him. And at least we're playing good football. If he fails, then that's a different convo. We're either in dreamland or catastrophe. And you see that with the media outlets that talk on this club, with some of the fans. Bro, it's crazy, man. I didn't say Zinchenko isn't going to improve his defensive game, but he's a midfielder by trade. Of course, when it's a trenches game, you're going to be in trouble. Funny thing is, a Liverpool fan tried to whisper me to troll, but as soon as I owned him, he ran. Yeah, you lot do your internet bad boy thing. I don't know what you lot on about, man. I'm just trying to talk football still. I don't know about none of that. But yeah, shout out to you lot. Don't forget, we go live at 4:30 to play FM, people. Appreciative to you lot tuned in at this moment in time. So yeah, man. 108 likes. Keep running that up. Great conversations, folks. Great conversations. So yeah, big up Mikel. I like what you're doing, but you know. If we had criticism, if Pep Guardiola can be criticized in this game for what he does or doesn't do, then Mikel can as well, fundamentally. It's a results-driven game, and you know, I'm more Arteta in than out, but I'm not gonna just sit here in the hope that he turns it around. If not, the league is not gonna wait for all of these young players to hit maturity and Arsenal to set off. Like we're not gonna wait for anything else. 13 defeats last year. No way this team loses anywhere near that this time. Top 4 looks nailed on. I hope not. I can't say it's nailed on because I don't know what's going on. We've started well. It's where you finish as well. But I hope it, you know, I am a bit more confident how we're playing, but I don't know what we're on. I'll start to believe things are nailed on when I start to see April and March. It's a long marathon to go, a lot of football. Same way a lot of positive conclusions are being drawn off this 6, 7, 8 games in the league. If the next 6, 7, 8 games, or even with Arsenal, the next 2 games are not going our way, make sure you lot are doubling down on your BS. Excluding the FA Cup a few years ago, Arteta has proven to be a poor finisher. He was also a poor starter, so signs are good that he can adapt. I hope he can adapt. I hope he can. I hope the players can as well. Because rightly, if you do get top 4, you deserve a pat on the back or whatever you're doing. If not, there has to be question mark. Too much money's been spent. People have been here now. It's a results-driven business. Everyone is subject to criticism and praise depending on performance and results. It applies to every field in the world, let alone sport. Exactly. But the thing is, too many people have vested interests and it robs them of seeing the game for what it is, really, essentially. And I'm no different. And every team in the bloody league is going to have better or worse people. Look at Chelsea. If Arsenal and Spurs and United were better last season, Chelsea might not be third. But they weren't. Thoughts on Arsenal's game management this season? A lot better, but a long way to go. 100% agree with everything you said. I think that's my analysis of Arteta also, but I've also had my stocks in my man. Tactically, he's elite. Man, you heard it here first. Arteta's my guy. I fuck with Arteta. I think Arteta, whether he makes it here or not, is going to be a very good manager, and that's my biggest issue. Do we want my man to be a good manager here, or do we want him to go elsewhere? Because like you've seen with players, he might iron out some edges and say, you know what, I'm going off. You know, Arteta might learn all, because let's be honest, this is more, as much as I'm fucking with Arteta, this is a luxury for him. You know, he could have been sacked at points for less. You know, you don't want him to go, all right, cool, thank you for the memories, Arsenal. I've learned everything now. I've served my apprenticeship. The big boy is coming for him, because if he keeps doing what he's doing, if Pep walks tomorrow, his name's going to be there. You don't want him to go somewhere else and go, oh, you know what, at Arsenal, that didn't work, so I'm going to do this. You know, it's a relationship of mutual interest. Arteta is not there because he's a nice guy. He's there because all that stuff might be true, but we believe in what you're doing. A bit like these players. Saka's not there because he's a nice, well-spoken lad. He's there because there's been some ability. Let's never forget these things. Maddison's 2 extended injury absence, 2020 and 21 hip, plenty of 10 to 15 absences on top. Crazy. Patience is a rare virtue in football, and Arteta is one of the few recipients of that. After 8th and 5th, he doesn't have any ground left to stand on. Chelsea would have fired him years ago. And that is true. You know what? I kind of allow him for the first 8th finish because that was a half season. The next season where we finished 8th, that's an L. 5th, there's progress. And obviously, since we started this new process, I allow him with that. But I might need top 4. Well, there's question marks. Maybe you can scumbag Europa because, again, it's a results-driven business. Don't forget to smash the like button, folks. Appreciative in advance of you lot doing that. Results, and more results is all that matters, man. Me scroll all the way up because you lot are moving elite, man. You lot took a while to get going. A bit like Arteta at Arsenal, and now you're doing your thing, man. It is true that Arsenal are either in dreamland or a catastrophe. Football is it myself included, drives man crazy, but still, man. You've got to kind of keep balance. Don't get too excited when things are going well. I'm not, by all means, if you want to get excited, get excited. Don't get too down when things are going wrong. If there's evidence to be vexed when things are going wrong, do your thing. If there's evidence to be positive, do your thing as well. Blessing DG off topic. The more I look at Mudryk, the more I feel he could be a left mid on the coming years, hopefully, but he's gonna cost a lot of P's, man. If you ain't got P's, you have to forget about it. Arteta has definitely been backed compared to Emre, and I think he deserves to be back more than Emre. Different periods, but yeah. For me, he'll be judged on if he finally gets top 4. They start challenging for the league along with improving the players he has. To be honest, it's his first ever 3 years of professional management. The FA and Community Shield can't be downplayed. I don't think anyone's downplayed it, really. It's a good start. It's a good starting point. But arguably, that with great power comes great responsibility. You know, if Glenn Roeder, RIP, if he doesn't achieve something in the Champions League, no one's going to say that. And if Pep doesn't get to the latter stages, there's going to be question marks. You know, man are going to ask, like myself, why haven't we gone further in the FA Cup since you've won that? You've shown that there's something there. You know, if forgive me, if Tavares has a bad game, I might ask questions, but I'm not really going to be that vexed. If Saka does, I'm going to be a bit harsher on Saka because you've set yourself high standards. If you set yourself high standards, it's going to happen. You don't rate my content, so if I move iffy, you're going to be on me. If I wish it, you wouldn't be on me. You know, it can't be downplayed, but that's great. We can't rely on past laurels, you know. Great. That's your little bit of history. Keep going. It's like he tries to calculate a narrative / reality that just isn't there. What's that in relation to? Free up Guendouzi. Heard Spurs making Maddison #1 target next summer. I think we should go in for him. I would love Maddison, but I don't think it will be the case. I think your owners will fail Arteta eventually, maybe, but you know they've spent money. Even me, very critical of the Kroenkes. They've spent money. You know, the last couple of years, Arteta can't say it hasn't been backed. You gave Aubameyang a new deal. You was allowed to tear it up. You brought in Willian, allowed to tear it up. You and Edu, for whatever reason, Pablo, Marie, Cedric, the games played, their money, the money they get paid a week. If you break it down, them things there did not work. You know, you've been backed. You was allowed to spend 50 million on Ben White, which is deservedly so. You got Jesus, you've been backed. So any failures in the short term is down to you. Of course, we might be in a scenario a bit like FSG where, you know, we might be achieving success and that's all hiding behind the fact that the owners are not trying to invest for the long term. And like you've seen with Liverpool now, it kind of comes to bite them on the arse. But yeah, man, people fundamentally, as Top Blue says, I think people it can be exhausting talking Arsenal, really, because people love extremes with Mikel, people love extremes just in general. There's very few honesty, in my opinion, for the praises, for the criticisms, etc. No one's faultless in this thing, especially because the manager, the players, they're all trying to assert themselves in the game. They've not been there, done it, and wore the t-shirt. They're all aspiring to. Arteta's got potential to be a great manager, allegedly. Great for me, great manager becomes with footballing style, winning Premier Leagues and stuff, moving that direction. Saka, Smith Rowe, Martinelli will be here all day. These players have potential to be players. We need to move in that direction. No one's done it. This is why, like someone said with the FA Cup and things like that, that's where you want to see the mentality start to develop, which you kind of have. Where you start is where you finish. I hate the North London derby. I miss it when I was younger and they were completely shite, so it didn't matter, whatever. I heard that, but it is what it is. Time changes, man. If this City side did not exist in this season, would you make Arsenal title contenders? Well, yeah, potentially. I wouldn't say we're favourites, but it becomes a bit of an open race. Unfortunately, they do exist, though. DG, can you think of any player that can be a perfect Partey replacement, needs to be press resistant, strong on the ball, and anticipate attacking transition? That Fofana, that just made his debut for France, but the price has gone up now. Shout out Vincey boy, big up everyone on the chat, and respect for the updates, DG. Arsenal just need 4 more players to complete league properly with top dogs in the league. I don't know about that, but I hear that, man. For sure, no excuses. If Arteta don't get top 4, they'll say it's because of injuries. Well, they can't be. Injuries can derail anyone's season, but we've known for a while now, you know, in the last couple of years, COVID, players missing, it's unprecedented waters, and these lot have been professional footballers. These lot have been at the club now. You know you need a fit squad. Any issues, we've signed up for it. And if we do miss out on injuries, there's lots of issues. There's no excuses. Appreciate you, Jay. You know, make sure you big up all my 9-to-5ers. We didn't build on the FA Cup and Community Shield wins, to be fair, like we should have. But hopefully we can start to aspire to do that, man. Man said, if City, Arsenal, Liverpool, Spurs, and Chelsea didn't exist, would you make United favourites for the title? Shout out the Kenyans as well in Nairobi and that. Appreciative to you lot, international one. Shout out to you lot everywhere around this world. Don't forget 4:30, we're playing FM. I might actually do a watch along for England versus Germany. It all depends how I'm feeling in the afternoon. I cannot lie to you lot, so don't quote me on that. But yeah, it is what it is, folks. It is what it is. What else have we got? Keep your opinions coming, people. Before we get into the, I want to say current affairs, but whatever's bothering Arsenal in the news and that, let me make sure I scan this thing and see if there's anything more. Pardon me. Change this to the last hour. Wait. Put that there. See what the Twitter goons are saying. Slaven Bilic could be back in English football. Apparently, he could get the Watford job. People just saw that on my timeline. Make of that what you will. Apparently, Arsenal held an internal investigation led by Edu in 2020 into the 72 million signing of Nicolas Pepe. Individuals working for other clubs who became involved in primarily talks with Leo were taken aback by the amount Arsenal eventually paid, as reported by James Ollie at the time. So that tells you a lot of people at the time didn't really know what they was doing, if I'm honest with you. And we have to hold it. I just see bare agents. They saw that they could get peas, and they made some peas. I can't hate on them for that one, man. Pick up them for that. Really? What else is going on? Nothing else there, essentially. Yeah, it seems like Watford just said, you know what, got to keep it moving, man. Hearing Balogun is looking good in France, integration next year. It all depends, man. You know, you'd imagine he gets pre-season, see where you're at. What I have liked with Balogun, I don't think he's all the way there yet. And as I said, it's not where you start, it's where you finish. There's going to be good and bad moments throughout his season, you know, but he's doing all right. He's scoring goals. He's showed his importance. For me, obviously, you want to see a man score goals. But in today's day and age, and especially as we're moving as a striker, it's sad, but you can't just score goals. You need to get involved. And I think he's not all the way there yet, but he's developing in that regard. The one thing he'll need to ask himself and Mikel Arteta next season is how many minutes will he get? Because realistically, there are probably games you could get, you know, God forbid, Jesus gets a yellow card against Spurs. He don't play against Liverpool. That probably means Eddie goes up front. What's the bench saying? Or it could be Martinelli and or something like that. So it all depends. But minutes are currency. And for me, you hope he plays 20, 30 game plus league games and everything. But it's very difficult to go from that to elsewhere. And you're still only in your early 20s. You don't really get time, but you need to develop. Or Arsenal just need to make sure we're in a position where, like with the others, and the others that have come through Halem, Balogun can be integrated long term, or if not, we can make decent money, reinvest that, and keep it moving. Like with Joe Willock, we signed Martin Odegaard for 30 odd. Joe Willock went for that. Keep it moving, and we could have got decent money for via La Masia, but Bellerin at a point and Ainsley Maitland-Niles. Hopefully, we've learned in that regard, so that when these things happen, because not everyone can make it. Look at Chelsea. Some people are going to probably leave Arsenal or leave Chelsea, go off for a couple of years, and Chelsea fans, for this example, might sit there and say, oh, why didn't we give him an opportunity? But that happens, people. You know, if they ever wanted to sell, Gallagher could have a role in that team, but he don't really look like he's got enough about him on the ball. So if they say, you know what, we'll go and get 30, 40 million for him and whatever for Broja, if they wanted to sell him, reinvest that, the world keeps moving, really and truly. That's what our cat, and for us, it's even more vital, because if we can't go toe to toe when it's now time to splash cash, maybe selling young players or players that don't have a future, even if it's a couple of players sold for 2-3 million, it all adds up. That might allow us to be a bit better in the transfer front. I like Gusto still, the Leon lad. Couple of good fullbacks coming out here, mate. Trophy needed. Trophies, you know, as much as I preach, not just that, trophies are the only thing in football, really, isn't it? So we're going to have to see how that one develops, really. Going to have to see where they go. Keep smashing the like button, people. Thank you in advance. You know, 240 locked in on YouTube. Still ain't it that unexpected our bills and that. Let's get to 200 before the stream ends. I don't know if we'll do that. What's up, Igor? There you are, my guy. What we should do, though, it don't look like there's any other news. So let's actually crack on with as I put in the timestamps. Again, make sure you're checking out the YouTube playlist, people, where I normally cut out clips and do the rest of it. Latest news. Where should we start? Close that. Close that. Got that. Europa League is a must. Everything, man. You know, obviously you can't win everything, but I'm an Arsenal fan. I always want the FA Cup. I do want European trophies. We're not really blessed with that at Arsenal. You know, I do want to qualify for top 4. And, you know, again, as long as you're in the League Cup, it's maybe not the biggest of priorities, but any trophy you can win it is what it is, man. I don't know what that is. No, you're asking some Ferrari questions, man. I don't know about none of that. I don't know. What's that? What's that? I don't know about that. What's that? This football thing, my guy. I don't know, man. I don't know about none of that. You're gonna have to ask someone who knows. You might have to ask Scar City Studios or something, people. But anyways, away from that, this Mudryk brother, again, this thing has just changed, people, because when I look how much clubs are onto him and other clubs. Look, every article, Leeds scout Mudryk, West Ham looking at him, Everton looking at him, Arsenal joined Liverpool and City. You know, Fabrizio Romano the other day sat there and said there's 14, 15 clubs looking at him. Obviously, some will be convinced, some won't. We've seen everything from Ben Jacobs' comments about how he'd love to move in January to him talking about he looks at Ronaldo. I mean, Mudryk looks like, I'm no expert. I can't tell you all his weaknesses. You know, I'm not expert on Ukrainian football, but for what I'm seeing, he looks decent, looks like he can develop. I like the way he speaks, the mentality. If he could be a star of tomorrow and Arsenal could do it, get it done. But if they don't, it is what it is. But yeah, that was completely off topic, people. But yeah, you're just seeing a lot of things in that guy's relation to him. Look, Everton, everything, every article is literally somebody else. But I just thought I would highlight that. In relation to Kieran Tierney, an update on Kieran Tierney. Tierney has returned to the club from international duty with Scotland. Our defender is back as a precaution after being substituted due to sustaining a head injury whilst playing for Scotland in their UEFA Nations League fixture against Republic of Ireland. It's not an international game for Scotland with Tierney if he doesn't pick up some knock. First things first, we hope he's all right. We hope he's not concussed. We hope obviously he's available to play against Spurs, but if not, there's no long-lasting damage. So big up to him. We also heard, we spoke about in the last live stream on Saturday or Friday, Tomiyasu is returning to the club after playing in the first Japanese game. He's returning to London. Odegaard played for Norway, so we hope he's all right. But yeah, as you can see here, Thomas Partey granted permission to fly to London for further assessment. Again, at 29 years of age, it's kind of boring if there's anything long-term, but Thomas Partey has been granted permission to travel back to London for further assessment after picking up a suspected knee injury on Friday, minutes before the international friendly against Brazil. The critics will say, why the fuck are these lot going off and playing for them if they're not fit? But it is what it is. You know, he was set to start. He pulled out a few things ago. Apparently, it was a precautionary measure. You know, Ghana play Nicaragua on Tuesday, tomorrow. But yeah, he won't be part of that. So hopefully he's fit against Spurs or whatever, because this is if you're not involved in the most important period of October, we don't need more bodies dropping. Football.London, obviously we just spoke about Partey. People like Tierney. Partey has had to return to the club from the international break due to a knee problem, but with no indication on whether he'll be available for the North London derby. Let's hope there's a bit of gamesmanship with Arsenal, not trying to make out people are injured. DJ, in my opinion, Mudryk is trash. His end product is poor and he's not impressive. I mean, he's going to have to prove you wrong in that regards. For Arteta to cement his status, he needs to win a European trophy, a big miss in our trophy cabinet. But Europa ain't going to be easy with all the Champions League teams dropping down. It's not really. And it's going to be even difficult because Arsenal have shown, so historically, once we get to the latter stages, apart from making the final, which is technically latter stages and we bottled it, we can't control our mentality and we don't always do the best, man. I think clubs will need 55 to 70 million to get him because of the huge demand, and that will benefit Shakhtar. DG, do you think Danilo will need much time in the Premier League to adjust? Maybe the most of every potential target, but I like his game. Probably. He'd be joining in January. He's having a poor season, allegedly. Palmeiras fans, of course he would need time. I hope he hits it off and straight away, but even if he hits it off straight away, there'll be a normality of performances. Martin Odegaard, Football.London understands the club captain. Odegaard is expected to be fully fit for Spurs at the weekend. So yeah, people. Zinchenko is set to return for the North London derby. Tomiyasu has returned to Arsenal as well. You hope he's fit. Apparently, it's likely Cedric Suarez will be available for selection versus Spurs. Ironically, I don't think there's a need for you on the bench if the real dons are available. But big up Cedric and anyone suffering at the moment. Journalist believes Douglas Luiz will join Arsenal if he leaves Villa. I don't know, man. We heard Telemans is whatever, innit? Simon Phillips has told Give Me Sport that he believes Douglas Luiz will join Arsenal should he leave Villa on a free next summer. Apparently, they set an asking price of 40 million on deadline day, which is crazy. Maybe they didn't have time to find a replacement. The situation there is if he becomes a free agent, Chelsea will probably have a look at it, but I think he'll end up joining Arsenal. I mean, that just seems like a comment. Where's the tangible? You get me? Like, is that just a personal opinion? Where's the evidence to suggest that? Where's the extended comments? So nothing really. I mean, if you want to believe Donny, you can believe Donny, but there's nothing really there. Apparently, Arsenal once again keen to sign Lyon midfielder Hossam Aouar, who would be interested in a move to the Emirates next year if Arsenal can secure a place in the Premier League's top four. The way you're moving, I'm seeing Betis and all them things. You better calm yourself down. You are not in that territory to be talking on us like that again. He's been linked with City as well, and I can't say this news outlet, but you know, this is always Banduli. I mean, we've been linked with Aouar, Milinkovic-Savic, Locatelli, Moretti, Vlahovic. We're winning we'll probably win the Tour de France at this rate, people, if I'm honest with you. So yeah, man. So yeah, that's where Arsenal are moving in that direction. I don't believe that, but you know, Aouar, why not? Again, Newcastle are interested along with Arsenal in signing Hossam Aouar. They have reported that Arsenal, Newcastle, Juventus, and Real Betis are all like the Lyon midfielder. I mean, he's out of contract soon, 24 years of age. You've seen him drop in valuation, but he was highly rated with Pep. So maybe that. He's also been linked with City, people. He's played once in Liga so far this season. Crazy. I don't know what happened, but at 24, you know, you're entering peak years. You can get it together. Don't think you're going to the World Cup. Saliba got rubbed out at halftime playing for France, people, like a bunch of players. What has his gaffer said? And Camavinga as well. He said, I don't think it's a shipwreck. We also had a lot of chances, but we were ineffective. We made some errors when playing out from the back. And he was playing in the back three from what I hear. It's a young French side where the majority of players don't have experience at the highest level, which you're going to see. You've seen Condé, Varane once a time fall into that, but it just keeps your feet on the floor. But when you have four corners and the Danish players left alone each time, you can play with 3 or 5 at the 3, 5 or 12 at the back. It doesn't change a thing. And I think that's bad habits, you know, because I do think at Marseille and Nice, a lot of the times when I was watching Saliba on loan, not just him, but they were poor from set pieces. So maybe that's improved, really. Obviously, we have young quality players who are learning, but the most important thing is to recover all our vital experienced players for 2 months' time. So, yeah, finding the right blend. But, you know, France are definitely going to be favourites, if not major contenders. Pau Torres, star who rejected Tottenham transfer last year, said yes to Arsenal. Star who rejected Tottenham transfer last year has said yes to Arsenal. Star who rejected Tottenham transfer last year said yes to Arsenal. I can't lie, it sounds good. I have to say it bare times. But anyways, Pau Torres, which I don't believe, he'd be a perfect left-sided 8. Left-sided centre-back. I don't think you're aggressive enough for me, but definitely if we sold Gabriel, you could be all right. And I'm having it. Pau Torres has reportedly spoken to Mikel Arteta and said yes to a potential transfer to Arsenal. Big up Emery, he's probably helping us. With the two clubs now just needing to reach an agreement on the deal, he's shunning the Liga and it's looked like he could move to a bigger club. Wasn't you linked with Madrid and Barca? I don't know where that one is. You know, he admitted he rejected a transfer to Tottenham. But this article has now stated indicated he's keen to join their rivals Arsenal. The Spanish international could be a good signing for the Gunners, though they're already reasonably well stocked in terms of central defensive options. As you know, Saliba and Gabriel are doing their thing. Ben White shown versatility in defence as well, reverting back to right back because he has done it. Romano says Arsenal explored Pau Torres deal this summer. Fabrizio Romano has told Court Offside that Arsenal explored a potential deal for Pau Torres during the summer, but the Gunners were ultimately put off by his asking price. And, you know, we were linked with Yeremy Pino. Apparently, Villarreal's financial situation is quite volatile. Smash the like button, people, and he needs to make peace. I mean, Tottenham had a £43 million bid rejected, or he didn't favour it. So, yeah, I mean, if Gabriel was to go Juventus, I'm taking Pau Torres. According to Romano, the Gunners registered an interest in signing Torres, but ultimately his asking price worth up to 41 million put them off. Bit harsh. Chelsea, Arsenal, and Tottenham all explored this possibility, but didn't want to spend 45 million euros. I wonder why they weren't convinced. I think it's a good opportunity on the market. He has experience, quality, left-footed, and a very good centre-back. So, yeah, man, maybe it was just a bit too much considering we had Saliba, Ben White, 50 million last year, and Gabriel's there for what it's worth. Why not? I mean, I do like what I know of Meja, but I'm no experienced guy. Arsenal keeping tabs on Croatian star Lovro Meja after impressive Nations League performance as Gunner scouts watch new Luka Modric score winner against Denmark. I mean, it's not going to help the 24-year-old being labelled that. Croatia always bring out ballers. We need midfielders. So if you've done your, if you've done your due diligence and you think this is someone that can help us, get it done from Rennes, in it, people. Arsenal are keeping an eye on highly rated Rennes midfielder Lovro Meja. He has got a lovely passing range, not on Modric's level, but I can hear with that. I mean, everybody's scouting everyone. It doesn't. We're probably scouting a lot of unrealistic targets at this club, as they are, just to keep more knowledgeable. But it is what it is, people. He's registered 6 goals and 8 assists in his debut season in France and is obviously now broken into the Croatian national team. He scored 3 goals in 9 appearances. So it seems like you have an eye for goal, which on top of us just needing someone who can dictate the tempo is always welcome in midfield. As you know, we're struggling for midfielders we've been linked with Moretti, we've been linked with Vlahovic, who's a striker. None of that is going to happen really and truly. Pardon me. So we're going to have to see. We've also been linked with my man of Frankfurt, Jesper Limstrong, and apparently he's opened up on his Liverpool allegiance. Let's see what's apparently happened. When you're playing regularly in a club in one of the biggest leagues in the world and you help win the Europa League, then there must be big clubs that are watching. It's a huge confidence boost to hear that such a big club is watching me, but I honestly don't know if it's true. And you will never know if it's true. Your agent, when it's something tangible, your agent will tell you, but it's probably flattering. But away from that, it's just best to keep doing what you're doing, really. He said, I'm a Liverpool man. He's probably grown up as a Liverpool fan, so fair enough. I like to play up front, but I can also play on the wings. I have a strong shot from distance, and I like to link up play in the penalty area. That's decent. Bring that then. But yeah, he's been linked with Liverpool as well. Arsenal plan to raid Juventus with reinforcements to the team. We've been... Leave it. Basically, Moretti's just blown into the team. Vlahovic has just signed for them after saying that was the club for him. A bit like Locatelli. Anything can happen, and I would take all 3 or one of the 3 for a variety of reasons, but no one believes this. We went over it, innit? It seems like the Arsenal Vlahovic chapter for now. You can never say never in life, but it's over. Once again, Arsenal, Chelsea, and Tottenham explored potentially bringing in Pau Torres, but no one seemed to have been convinced enough to get it done, really and truly, which we've kind of seen them comments already. Fabrizio Romano's ruled out Arsenal's interest in Vlahovic. I mean, beyond the obvious. Stories on Dusan Vlahovic and links to Arsenal for January have been described as wider than mark by sources on both sides. Vlahovic only focused on Juventus, and Arsenal currently very happy with their strikers. So, yeah. And as you already know, Vlahovic is a key player for Juventus, and they invested 75 million euros plus add-ons for him. So it's not going to happen. I'd say everything worked out in the end because we got our Don in Jesus. I do think there's scope to bring in another striker, whether Martinelli can become that, whether Eddie can show he can be that, whether Balogun can, or our scouts do the job of whole different entities. But yeah, man, that seems to be that where the latest news is concerned with Arsenal people. So yeah, large up you lot tuned in. Doesn't seem like there's anything else of real note in that regards. What else are you lot saying? Juventus are total scammers. Don't believe any links from them. We should have signed Basuma because the midfield issues would be solved. I think you mean solved. I don't think it would have been solved, but I hear that, man. Man said Pablo Marie replacement. Luiz didn't come because Gerrard blocked it. He didn't want to go to Liverpool, and Gerrard didn't want to do us no fair. I don't know, man. You'd have to speak with them. I remember when DG was saying Arsenal should have signed Camavinga. This man needs to be a scout. Truth, I can't claim credit for the obvious, but yeah, 90-minute are fake news, to be fair. Are you going to pass the second potential league contenders against Spurs after you failed the first test against United? Listen, I don't know about league contenders. I don't know for failing or passing tests. When you look at the average points gained with Arsenal and the average positions of our opponents, they're higher than a lot of our thingies. So I don't know, really. All that matters is how we finish the campaign, really. So just keep working hard, really. Simple as that. They said it was a test against Brentford. They did say it is a test against Spurs. They did say it was against United. They said Villa was a test. They said Inform Fulham was a test. They definitely said Brentford and Crystal Palace away were tests. So we just need to keep going. There's 30-odd games left. Keep working, innit? I feel Villa were ready to sell Douglas Luiz. I mean, maybe if we started getting them wheels in motion before the market closed, maybe it could have been done. But yeah, man, I don't know. let's say we finish fourth and win Europa. What does it mean for Arteta's legacy? Well, it's clearly enhanced. You've returned us back to fourth post Arsene Wenger. You've to go with the Community Shield and the FA Cup. You've won the Europa League. That we ain't got the riches of history with Europe. It gets you more credit in the bank. It probably gives us some more money to spend via the Champions League. Says quite a lot. Europa ain't gonna be. It's not nothing in life worth having is gonna come easy, but we're gonna have to get on with it, man. We're in this, if you want to compete in any European competition or definitely where the Premier League is, it's not gonna be easy, man. Let's have to get on with it. Simple as that, really, in my opinion. Big up, bro. Telemans and Luiz need to be here by Jan in order for top 4, and there's no excuses. But hey, if you can't bring them in, get people else. Simple as that, man. Because by all means, be linked with certain players, but we're not Real Madrid. We're not doing. We have even them teams. They didn't get Mbappe and Haaland. You need to be prepared to get flopped for players. I don't care about we tried to get this guy or that guy. Make sure. I do like how Arsenal are not doing what we used to do. We might not get our first choice target, so we'll just buy anyone. Now we seem to, if we can't get what we want, we don't buy no one, and that's great. But that doesn't help if you haven't got it. Like last year, saved wages can't score goals for us with Aubameyang. And for me, I'm not going to give you brownie points for rectifying your own wrongs necessarily, because maybe you shouldn't have got Aubameyang that deal. DG, how did you not get invited to that content creator game that was played over the weekend? Surely you could have scored another worldie. Not known enough, man. Ain't got enough credit in the bank, my guy. Did you go through Raul Sanllehi's interview with The Athletic? It seems there were other parties involved in the Pepe deal. Yeah, I did. That was earlier on. To be fair with you, I didn't see that part in the section. And that would tell you everything. I mean, one thing I like about Arsenal now, we seem to be doing all right with agents, but we got a better relation, really and truly. We seem to see what we can do with George Mendes and keep it moving, really. Yeah. DG, how much you reckon we have to spend in January? Not a clue, man. Not a clue. Honestly, I don't have a clue, man. I don't have a clue. Why not have Torres and Gabriel compete for the left-sided centre back? You could. Why not? Best of both worlds, but only certain players can play in it. To be fair, if we paid 45 million for Torres, unless we sold Gabriel, then do need another left centre back. But for that, it's unrealistic when wing and midfielders are low. I agree with that. Spent 50 million on White, but not Torres. Weird. Hear you. Cedric fit to polish boots for the North London derby. Harsh. I'm sorry, it is harsh, man. But respectfully, I don't want to see these players play because it means that the real dons are fit. Respectfully to you, Cedric, man. I'm sure you're a good guy, but we're here to win stuff. We're not here to make friends. For me, anyways. Spoken about that, to my knowledge, or to what we've seen online, Partey's travelling back to London. We should sign Kessié, give Partey some competition. He's just signed for Barcelona, my guy. So unless they want to sell him tomorrow, it's a myth. Finally caught the stream. Big up, DG. My thing on our midfield situation, I hope we don't buy for buying's sake. Anyone coming in should be quality, yeah, or complement the side or enhance what we have. Or if you can't enhance, all I want is competency. Bring in players, because we haven't always done that. Bring in players that can do their roles. Confidence. There's going to be times you lose your confidence, but are you confident enough to get yourself in that headspace? And consistency. There's no point being able to put on a show against Spurs if against Liverpool you're pony, and then you're good against Leeds, and then 5 games on the trot you're terrible, and then you're good. The 3 C's, man: competency, consistency, and confidence, man. We need that. Smash the likes, people, and subscribe. Join the nation, closing in on 50,000. Thank you very much for that one, man. We hope, we pray and hope, man. We're trying. What else is going on in relation to Arsenal? Again, at least football is back by the end of the week, really. But boy, it's been the international breaks are always boring, man. Mega boring for just no reason. Is there anything online? Don't appear that there's, it's quite quiet. Really. Just Gold.com saying, you got anything for us Arsenal fans? Nah. Not at all, mate. Roll on proper football, amen. The squad should be fitter next season. Cedric Elneny be moving on, so I think we might spend a bit in Jan. I just hope we get the right players. He's all same. I don't want it to be thinner though. Need a lot more, man. Need it to be better than that. Needs to be a lot better. Nations League is the worst competition in history. Bracy, you lot are not fans of it. I hear it. Let me scroll all the way up. Poll on the result of North London Derby. Is the chat confident? Boy, trying to think about that later on in the week, man. Right now, I'll just deal with what we have, man. I want to make sure I don't miss any comments. That comment about cult-like followings at this football club is 100% facts, man. Eddie on loan, the Brer just signed a new contract because Arteta promised him game time. I would say promises are a comfort to a fool, but you know it's not logical to loan out Eddie and Nketiah right now because if you get where's the striker? Whether you rate Eddie or not, where's the striker, man? Big up DJ in the nation. I agree Emre inherited a poisoned chalice, but he lost the change room and fans with negative tactics. Ozil was down to walking pace under Unai, just didn't cut it. Can't disagree. To be fair, Arteta was playing out from the back with Socrates and Mustafi, and we bagged bare goals from the build-up. Oh, I'm not too sure on that. If you look back in time, could Arteta be sacked without top four? I don't think he'd be sacked. I think Edu will get the clip before him. What do you think about Tottenham player Matt Doherty continually kicking Tierney and eventually forcing him off the pitch versus Scotland and Ireland? You don't want to see that? I'm not sure, man. I didn't watch the game, so I can't really comment. Personally. Mills has said, big up yourself every time, DG. To be honest, Telemann should be our first choice target in Jan. If not, we play Partey through the flanks or utilize Ben. You're moving mad, man. I bet I know you said that. Going crazy. DG, now that you're closing in on 50,000, what's the one thing you're proud of and one thing you want to improve to push on 100? Hey, man. Oh, good question, man. I'm proud of my consistency. I'm proud that I get myself up everywhere. You shouldn't. I don't want to. Like I said, you shouldn't praise yourself for that. But I'm proud of my consistency. I'm proud of my desire to keep going. I'm proud of you lot because it feels, we're building stuff and it really does warm my heart. Seeing some of you regulars here, you've all got different lives, different country, different patterns. Improving, obviously, graphics, just more visually pleasing, more engagement, more collabs, and all of them sort of things. I really ran a nav. Stop doing that, man. You know what you're doing. So yeah, man. Yeah, man. I'd say that. Tierney was roughed up. The ref treated it like a FA Cup game. Scotland were the better team. I hear that. You should be proud of how clear of thought and intelligent you are. I appreciate that, my guy. Guess so. Now that you said that, can say you're doing well with students given the lack of football. I'd say I'm proud of that. I don't shy away from things. Tommy clip of saving a goal opportunity against us was really good. I hear that. Pardon me, DG. We need 50k celebration special. I hear that, and I would be on that. But now we get closer to it. It's not that I wouldn't be proud or I don't want to get there. It's almost I'm like, we start again from zero. How do we do this all over again? Because we've been probably here since probably 6 or 7 years. I don't want it to take 6 or 7 years for another 50,000. You get it? In an ideal world, I'd love to do that within 18 months or so. But we live in a medium where if you're not chatting shit and moving mad, it's not going to pick up. So if we have to take the stairs versus the escalator, then we'll take the stairs, man. Appreciate you lot for the journey that we're all on, people. Without you lot, it couldn't be possible, man. At all. So yeah, large up you lot each and every time. 150 likes, people. Thank you very much for such. So yeah, man. That comment about, we do need to... The comment you meant about Cedric and Elneny, don't get it twisted. Elneny can stay and be part of the furniture, but we need to stop the nice guy tax now. We need players. Elneny could stay and be them players you forget about next year, and he could be utilised and things. I know he's not happy about playing, but we need good players first, nice guys second, innit? You need to be a nice human, of course, but it just feels we cut a lot of luxuries. Like fans will be saying, Elneny needs to go, he needs to go, he needs to go, he needs to go. He plays well, the man start cutting excuses. and saying he's a nice guy, he loves the club. That's great. We'd love the club as well. And I don't think he's a bad player, but again, we need to make harsh decisions. There might even be some players that are playing on a regular basis at Arsenal. We might get to be in a top 4 team, but to go to that next level, we might have to cut our losses with some. Appreciate that. With you on the right track under Arteta, if he failed to get top 4 again this season, he shouldn't get the sack from around. It all depends how you collapse. If we don't get, it all depends on the context of how we don't get top 4. Obviously, I think there should be serious question marks. First things first, if you do not get top 4, whatever happened, because you're showing that you're flirting with it. You're not been able to bring the babes back to the hotel sort of thing. You know, have you got us into a scenario of what we wanted Sanllehi, who just read his interview, and Emre, in that we've got a good squad and develop it. You know, and ultimately it's a results-driven business. It's not a project business, really. And if I'm harsh, Arsenal love a project. We love being 2-3 short of a project. We love a project. And he has signed a new deal and spent money, so I don't think he's going anywhere anytime soon. But questions should be asked. The wisdom on issues outside of football is something to praise too. Plus, the community don't seem toxic. Appreciate that, Frank. And you know what? You have to speak about things away from things. One thing that used to annoy me on YouTube, like, you'd see certain users that were there all the time, but the minute you spoke about racism or anything that affects life, not that football mirrors life and life mirrors football, they're like, oh, DJ, I like your content, but you did this and that. I'm like, that's a privilege for you. Before I open my mouth, you don't know a damn opinion of mine. For obvious reasons, you see what man looks at. What's the trophy you want to see Arsenal win the most in the next 3 years? The Premier and the Champs, like anyone else. But are we closer to getting that? I don't know. Who, like, that's the one, especially the Champs, the biggest trophy. You know, we won it in 06. We should be able to start the game again. You wait for loaner in that, you know. But I hear that. Hey, DG, the loan report thing was great. We definitely need more of that at least every 2 months or so. It's almost every week. Every week, definitely fortnightly. I bring out that vid quite a lot. We're definitely not going to wait 2-3 months for it. But I hear that, man. Appreciate that. Appreciate that, man. Appreciate that. Appreciate that. Love you lot, mate. Big up you lot. But yeah, man, obviously, it's time for me to go get some lunch. I'm going to skip to the gym before I see you lot at 4:30. I can't lie. I haven't gone to gym in a few days, so it's time to pattern up. We've been here for over 90 minutes. I'm sure you lot are getting bored of my voice. Appreciate you lots first and foremost giving up your time, whether you're here consistently or you just found out about it. Appreciate you lot who have hit the like button. Make sure you're hitting the like button, you're commenting, you're subscribing, you're boosting the engagement. Check out the playlists, people, as well, because I put all the vids in playlists. Make sure you're following on Twitter, on Instagram, on Spotify and Apple Music. I put this shit on MP3 for you lot, because some of you always say, oh, I want to drive and listen to the MP3. I don't get anything out of that. It's just for you lot. Make sure you're following on Twitch. There will be some cut-up clips and other videos to come out. I'm going to spam you lots stuff, so make sure your notification gang in that. So yeah, man, as usual, it's Monday. I hope you lot are blessed. I hope you lot are safe in whatever time zone you're operating from. I hope you lot always, you know, you and your loved ones are in good health. I hope you lot have a good week in terms of your goals, hopes, dreams, ambitions, and aspirations. Obviously, one love for checking out the content as usual. Appreciate you lot for following. However you're following and supporting, however you're supporting, it means the world, people. So yeah, let me let you lot get on with your day. One love. I'm out.
There's always just that active red flag defending. I think it's like there's always just that active red flag defending. I think it's like